Are you a special education teacher who is new to pathological demand avoidance? If so, I made a short video to support you in supporting your students in the classroom. Okay, so first, when you have an autistic child in your classroom, the logic of approaching them is often through the needs, right? Like first, they need social communication support. They might need sensory support and executive functioning support. And we really concentrate on the social communication scaffolding, right? And then sometimes we consider the nervous system, trauma-informed approaches, etc. With a PDA kid, even if they're diagnosed autistic, we want to flip it so that the first lens we're viewing them through is through a nervous system that's constantly getting activated anytime their brain perceives on a subconscious level they're not in control, they're below you, or they don't have freedom and choice or autonomy. So that sets off the nervous system, which makes social communication and executive functioning and sensory worse in that moment, but maybe they're actually quite verbal and quite communicative when they're not activated. So that's the lens. The second thing you might have noticed is that the traditional autism supports or behavioral supports for the child is just not working, right? So we have sticker charts, rewards and sanctions, first then statements, laminated charts, routines, and it just seems to be activating them more. That's because those tools that can help other autistic children are actually activating the nervous system and making it less likely they'll do the thing or engage in your classroom because it's perceived as a loss of autonomy, which causes fight, flight, or freeze. Okay, so what can we do instead? The third thing. I'm going to give you guys 3 things to experiment with in your classroom for the next week and observe if you see any differences with these kiddos. Okay, so the first is instead of directing them to particular activities, lay out options without attachment so they have a visual cue that they can gravitate towards or not. Right? This is called strewing, okay? Especially if you can incorporate their special interest, like Pokemon or Elsa from Frozen or whatever it is. The second is using declarative language, and I'm putting in the link in the caption, the link to, or the name of the book you want to read, okay? So declarative language is just not asking direct questions or using imperatives, but instead using observational or declarative sentences. So instead of saying, it's time to get your shoes on, or did you put your shoes on, you can say, I noticed you didn't put your shoes on. Or in the case of activities, instead of saying, there's Play-Doh over there, do you want to play with Play-Doh? You could say, you can play with Play-Doh, or you can play with the Legos. And then the third thing to experiment with this week is reducing speaking and trying not to teach in the moment. Okay, and I know this is what your job is, so it feels very awkward and like you're not doing anything, but really you're providing a safe nervous system to establish trust and a sense of felt safety. Okay, so when in doubt, pause, observe, and don't say anything or try and teach anything at all. And then report back in a week and tell me if you notice any shifts.